In a world where it feels like dark forces are constantly at work, Psalm 31 offers a powerful prayer that can help you break free from the grip of witchcraft, envy, and curses. But here's the twist: many don't realize how accessible this divine protection truly is. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about tapping into a prayer that is as old as time itself, one that David used to claim victory over unseen enemies. The beauty of this psalm lies in its timeless power, a secret weapon against spiritual attacks that anyone can use, regardless of their circumstances. You might be wondering, can a prayer really change the course of your life? Absolutely. The Bible is filled with stories of miracles, healings, and breakthroughs, all triggered by the simple act of praying with faith. But in Psalm 31, you're not just asking for help. You're declaring victory over evil forces that have tried to hold you back for too long. It's a prayer that restores your inner peace, gives you protection, and sets you on a path to spiritual freedom. The truth is, this prayer can make all the difference, and it's right at your fingertips. Ready to destroy the chains of witchcraft, envy, and curses? This psalm is not just a plea for deliverance. It's a declaration of faith that God is on your side. It's time to pray boldly, trust in His protection, and watch as your life transforms. Are you ready to reclaim your peace and freedom? In life, everyone faces moments of turmoil, whether it's dealing with personal loss, betrayal, or overwhelming uncertainty. Psalm 31 captures that very feeling, where David, the author, cries out to God for refuge. It's a reminder that when life's storms hit, we can always turn to a higher power for protection. The key is understanding that God, as our shelter, offers us the comfort and strength needed to stand firm in the midst of trials. When we're shaken, we're invited to lean on this divine refuge, trusting that we're never alone. David's heartfelt cry for help resonates deeply. He's not asking for mere survival, but for deliverance from the weight of his struggles. He calls out to God with complete trust, acknowledging that God is the one who can provide true refuge. There's something powerful in this: David's vulnerability. By showing his fear and distress, he demonstrates a profound understanding of his own limitations and the limitless power of God. It's in these raw moments that our faith can grow stronger, just as David's did. In moments of desperation, like David's in this psalm, many of us may have felt that the weight of the world was too heavy to bear. This prayer teaches us to surrender fully, placing our trust in God's hands. There's a certain peace that comes when we let go and acknowledge that we are not in control. God is, and He holds us in the palm of His hand, no matter how stormy the circumstances around us. And this peace, this comfort, is exactly what Psalm 31 offers to those who choose to pray and trust. In the midst of adversity, David doesn't pretend to have it all figured out. He doesn't mask his fear or try to appear invincible. Instead, he openly acknowledges his vulnerability. This honesty about his struggles, especially in the face of enemies, is a testament to his strength in God. When we're overwhelmed by life's challenges, we can sometimes feel isolated or small. But David's words remind us that it's okay to admit our weakness, because it's through recognizing our vulnerability that we invite God's strength to work in our lives. David's trust in God is unwavering. Despite the enemies closing in, he declares that God is his rock and stronghold. This is not just a passive statement of belief, but a deep conviction. Imagine the security that comes with knowing that no matter what happens around us, we have an unshakable foundation. It's like standing on a rock in the middle of a storm. Everything around us may shift, but we remain steady. God is our rock, offering us a secure place to stand, even when everything else seems uncertain. David's reaffirmation of trust challenges us to look at our own lives. Are we seeking refuge in the fleeting things of this world, or are we anchoring ourselves in God, the ultimate stronghold? Life's difficulties will inevitably come, but when we place our trust in something greater than ourselves, we find a sense of peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. This is what David modeled, a faith that transcends the immediate chaos and trusts in the unchanging nature of God. In Psalm 31, David's prayer isn't just a plea for personal safety, it's a cry for protection from all the dark forces that lurk in the world. Witchcraft, envy, and spiritual traps are real threats that can subtly weave their way into our lives. They're often invisible but deeply destructive. David's prayer reflects the need for God's intervention in these areas, asking for deliverance from forces that seek to harm us. Just as David calls upon God for refuge, we too can pray for divine protection from unseen dangers, trusting that God will guard us from both physical and spiritual harm. Witchcraft, envy, and curses can manifest in many ways, whether through negative energies, jealousy from others, or even deliberate attempts to undermine our well-being. These forces often operate in the shadows, and it's easy to overlook their presence. However, just as David acknowledges these threats in his prayer, we're reminded to be vigilant. It's not always enough to see things at face value. We must be aware of the unseen, calling on God to protect us from spiritual attacks that may not always be visible to the naked eye. The key to deliverance is acknowledging that God is greater than any force of evil. David, in his vulnerability, places his trust in God's ability to overcome the forces that seek to destroy. This is an important lesson for us all. When we face spiritual or emotional battles, we don't need to fight them alone. God's power is greater, and when we ask for his intervention, he is faithful to deliver us from evil. We can face life's challenges with confidence, knowing that God will protect us from any spiritual traps set against us. Life's challenges can often leave us feeling drained and overwhelmed. The psalmist's prayer for inner strength is a powerful reminder that, when we face hardship, we can call upon God to replenish our courage. Strength doesn't always come from within. It often comes from God's grace. It's like facing a storm while knowing you have a solid, unshakable anchor holding you in place. God's strength is there for us when we need it most, and he equips us with the power to endure. David's prayer teaches us that we can't rely solely on our own resources in moments of suffering. We must lean on divine strength. The courage to face life's storms comes not from the absence of fear, but from trusting that God's presence is greater than any challenge we encounter. David's life was full of turbulent moments, yet he remained resilient because of his unwavering trust in God. When we're in the midst of our own storms, whether it's an emotional battle or a spiritual crisis, we can call upon this same courage. By remembering that we are not alone in our struggles, we can face each challenge with renewed faith, knowing that God walks with us through every trial. David also asks for unwavering faith during times of suffering. It's easy to lose hope when things aren't going well, but faith is the anchor that keeps us grounded. It's like a spiritual muscle that needs to be exercised. The more we trust God in small things, the more our faith grows for the larger battles ahead. David's request for strength and faith reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we can choose to believe that God will see us through. It's about trusting in his plan, even when we can't see the full picture. David's prayer for divine justice shows us that God is aware of every injustice we face. In life, we may experience situations where it seems like the wicked prosper while the righteous suffer. This can be incredibly frustrating, especially when it feels like no one is listening. But David's psalm offers assurance that God sees all, hears every cry, and is committed to acting at the perfect moment. It's a reminder that we don't need to fight every battle on our own. God will deliver justice in his time. Sometimes, it's simply a matter of waiting patiently, trusting that his timing is perfect. What stands out in David's words is his confidence in God's justice. It's easy to become disillusioned when it feels like evil is winning, but David's unwavering belief in God's righteousness teaches us to trust even when circumstances seem unfair. He knows that God sees the heart of every person and understands the true nature of every situation. So when we face wrongdoing, we can take comfort in knowing that divine justice will prevail, even if we can't see it happening immediately. In our own lives, this prayer encourages us to relinquish the desire for vengeance and trust God to handle our battles. It's a call to release our frustrations and surrender our need for control. By trusting in God's justice, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to right every wrong. It's about living with the confidence that, even in the most difficult situations, God is already at work, ensuring that justice will be served at the right time. David's prayer in Psalm 31 isn't just about asking for help. It's an expression of deep intimacy with God. There's an honesty in his words, a vulnerability that comes from trusting God with the very core of his being. This isn't just a casual relationship. It's a profound surrender. David recognizes that true peace can only come from God, and by giving his heart fully to God, he finds rest for his soul. In our busy lives, we often look for peace in external things, success, possessions, or even relationships. But David's words teach us that peace begins within, and it is found only in surrendering to God's will. This total surrender David speaks of isn't about giving up, it's about giving in. It's choosing to trust that God knows what's best for us, even when we don't understand the path ahead. Imagine how much lighter life would feel if we truly let go of control and let God lead us. This kind of surrender doesn't come easily, but when we make the choice to let God take the reins, we experience a sense of freedom that we can't find on our own. It's not a passive act, but an active decision to trust in God's love and wisdom. True rest, as David shows us, is found in this intimate relationship with God. It's the rest that comes from knowing that we're held in the hands of a loving, all-knowing Father. In the midst of chaos, when everything seems out of control, we can find peace simply by returning to that intimate connection with God. It's in these moments of surrender that our souls are replenished, and we can face whatever comes our way with renewed strength. This divine peace is a gift, one that we can receive each day when we choose to remain close to God. David's prayer isn't solely about personal survival or protection. It also includes a request for provision in every aspect of life. Yes, financial stability is often a priority, but David understood that true prosperity extends far beyond money. Emotional and spiritual health are just as vital. Without peace of mind and spiritual grounding, wealth becomes meaningless. David's prayer is an acknowledgement that we need provision in all areas: emotional strength to navigate life's ups and downs, spiritual nourishment to stay connected with God, and relational abundance to foster love and community. This holistic approach to prosperity teaches us that we should seek balance in all areas of life. What's striking is David's desire not only for provision for himself, but also to be a blessing to others. He understood that prosperity wasn't just for personal gain. It was meant to be shared. When we pray for blessings, it's important to remember that we are blessed to be a blessing. Whether it's offering support to a friend in need, sharing our resources with those less fortunate, or simply spreading kindness, we reflect God's love in tangible ways. David's example challenges us to seek prosperity not just for ourselves, but with the intention of lifting others up along the way. This prayer calls us to live with dignity, which isn't just about maintaining our own self-respect, but about acting in a way that honors both ourselves and others. It's about living in alignment with God's will and reflecting His goodness in our daily lives. True prosperity doesn't just mean accumulating wealth. It means living a life that is fulfilling, abundant, and used for a higher purpose. It's a life where every resource, emotional, financial, spiritual, is used to honor God and bless others. David's prayer in Psalm 31 culminates in an outpouring of praise for God's faithfulness. This is a crucial part of the prayer because it shifts the focus from supplication to adoration. After asking for protection, strength, and provision, David affirms the certainty of victory because of God's unwavering faithfulness. It's like a final declaration that, no matter what happens, God will come through. In our own lives, we often ask for help, but it's equally important to praise God in advance, trusting that He will always be faithful. This kind of praise strengthens our faith and renews our hope, reminding us that we are never alone on our journey. David's praise is also an acknowledgement that, in God's presence, there is true safety. This isn't just physical safety, it's emotional, spiritual, and psychological safety. When we feel God's presence with us, we can face anything, knowing that we're protected by a power greater than ourselves. It's a comforting thought. When life gets chaotic, we don't have to navigate it alone. God's presence provides a refuge where we can rest, renew, and recharge for the challenges ahead. David's final words echo the truth that we are always secure in God's love and protection. The victory that David declares is a victory of the soul. It's not about the absence of difficulty, but the presence of peace, hope, and renewal through God's faithfulness. As we continue on our own journeys, it's important to hold on to this truth. Even when things seem uncertain, we can be sure that God is walking with us, and with Him, we can face anything. This confidence in God's provision and protection gives us the courage to move forward with hope and strength. Victory isn't always about immediate circumstances changing, but about the inner peace and security that comes from knowing we are in God's hands. As you apply the power of Psalm 31 in your life, you are taking the first step towards breaking free from the chains of witchcraft, envy, and curses. Imagine the weight lifted from your shoulders, the protection you'll experience, and the restoration of your peace. This prayer isn't just words, it's a spiritual weapon that, when spoken with faith, has the power to change your life. So, what are you waiting for? Are you ready to take control of your spiritual destiny and let God's power work in your life? Think about how different your life could be if you embrace this prayer with the full understanding of its power. What areas of your life have been held back by fear, jealousy, or dark forces? Now, you have a solution that brings you closer to God and aligns you with His divine protection. The time to act is now. Don't let another day go by without claiming the victory that Psalm 31 promises. If you're ready to see transformation in your life, be sure to subscribe to our channel and activate notifications. There's more wisdom and powerful prayers waiting for you. And with every video, you'll continue to grow in your spiritual journey. Like, share, and invite others to join you in this transformative process. Together, we can overcome anything.